Hey, this is Tony with Titan Applicators, and I just got back to a commercial building that our crews are working on currently in Denver. Got back from Winter Park, where I was meeting with a client, reviewing a proposal that I had put together for him and the roof over his restaurant business. And this particular client has an existing foam and coat roof on top of the business. We were also actually contracted with them at the end of the last roofing season to do some much needed maintenance and repairs because they are experiencing some leaks, and we thought that we could squeeze them in at the end of the season while the unusually favorable October weather was still holding strong. Once our crews got on the roof, though, we quickly realized that the situation was a lot worse than what we were initially led to believe from the initial inspections. In a nutshell, among other things, there were certain parts of the roof where the foam was just totally saturated, particularly over the kitchen. So we buttoned everything back up, returned the down payment back to the client, and decided that we all needed to go back to the drawing boards and really figure out what was going on. Fast forward to a few days ago, while I was finishing this proposal and kind of preparing for the meeting with the client, a colleague had sent me a video of a guy by the name of Jonathan Sherwood, and Jonathan said something that resonated with me. One of John's roofing principles is to know your craft. The reason it resonated with me is because with this particular client, he's been having moisture issues for a number of years. You know, the foam roof is almost 40 years old. And over those years, a number of contractors have advised him that his roof leaks are coming from the outside in, and that he should just tear all the foam off and replace it with the different roofing system. But what's really happening is that the original foam contractor almost 40 years ago, 35, 40 years ago, put a polyurea coating on top of the foam. Foam isn't a vapor barrier. Foam is a class 2 vapor retarder. Polyurea, on the other hand, is class 1, and it shouldn't have been applied as a coating on top of this roof, especially in a colder climate like where Winter Park is. Compound the 40 years of him operating his business, his restaurant, underneath this roof with all the moisture that's created in the kitchen particularly. Vapor has just continuously driven through the foam, but gets stopped at the polyurea coating and has nowhere to go. It can't evaporate. And so it's just been building up over the course of 40 years. You know, so once we dove into the problem a little deeper, what was happening became obvious to us. Now, I haven't been in business long enough to experience something like that on one of my roofs, but what myself and my business partners are constantly doing is educating ourselves and learning from other people's mistakes. And I think that's what John is alluding to. With that information that we found out just from digging in a little bit, we are now able to save the client a bunch of money from a costly total tear-off by scarifying the top of the assembly, addressing the moisture-saturated areas individually, and then reapplying 3 inches of foam and applying a proper top coat. And on top of all that, we're able to give them a 20-year warranty.